Alright, Nessa girl, now we don't got all the hard and heavy stuff out the way. Now I can finally bring y'all Married to Medicine LA, then I'm gonna get in here and watch Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, and it feels good to be back in stride. But these days, you know what, as part of my mental health, I'm not bottling shit up no more. If it bothers me, I'ma say something. They said if you see something, say something. Well, if you feel something, say something. And I said it, and I felt it, and now that I got it off my chest, I can do some of this more lighthearted shit that's not changing the world in any way, shape, or form. But we like it sometimes because we all need a break from the heavy shit and we like entertainment. Did you get into Sunday's episode of Medicine Wives LA? We gonna call them Medicine Girls. We gonna call the LA Girls the Medicine Girls. Did you see the Medicine Girls? Girls, G-I-R-R-A-H-S, Girls. Did you see this Sunday's episode of Medicine Girls? So listen, Married to Medicine LA. You know, I'm not here screaming, oh my God, I gotta run home and see it. But it's something to watch, much in line with everything else that's on TV. I've said this before. Purveyors of Pop has done a good job of making Medicine Girls LA very consistent with the Medicine Wives. It really do feel as if episode 18 of Atlanta came on and Medicine Wives LA is episode 19. It really flows. They did a good job when it comes to the continuity. That being said, I am slightly disappointed in the fact that they've had the potential to be so different and yet they chose to play it safe and be much of the same. Nevertheless, let's just jump down into this episode. The episode opens up with the girls still down into the rooftop party fussing and foolalon because Shanique basically told Asha she been with her man for 6 years, but 4 years ago he was messing with somebody else. Now here's the thing that threw me, right? I was slightly perturbed by Asha because the argument was between Shanique and Asha. And I guess in that moment, Asha felt so defeated with her own tea that she tried to make it everybody else's responsibility to check Shanique. Nah, Asha boo, I don't agree. A bitch done read me about my man with my own tea, with his own tea, with our own tea. Bitch, I'ma take that picture of tea and throw it on that bitch, okay? I don't need Imani help. I don't need Britten help. I don't need Noelle help. And I damn sure don't need Jazmin help. Bitch, I'd have jumped across that table and turned that bitch every which way except loose. That bitch would have been saying, someone could please call the 911. That bitch, she'd have been calling 911 in motherfucking Jamaican when I finished with her goddamn ass. Okay! Like, Asha, that really... Jazmin, you need to check your girl. You guys aren't going to say anything like, nah, bitch, this ain't got nothing to do with us. Baby, this ain't got nothing to do with me. This argument is between you and Jamaica Sensation over here. You get her. That MFA you got in acting and all them classes you teaching down to the college, you don't know how to act like you gonna beat her ass for disrespecting you. You don't know how to act like you know how to read. And instead of giving that bitch the business, you got up, walked off with your tail tucked between your legs and called your husband. Then on top of that, when Imani came over to talk to you about the situation, once again, you made it everybody else's responsibility to validate your feelings and make you feel like a woman, make you feel womanly by putting the pressure on Imani to get you an apology. No, Asha, you could use a couple lessons in self-defense and on how to stand up for your own self and have the confidence to do so. Because here's the thing, mama. If we 2 episodes in and that's what you're demanding already, you ain't gonna make it through this reality TV process. Like, you need to call Heavenly, you need to call Quad and them. It was very uncomfortable for Britten because as somebody who has nothing to do with this, don't put me in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? And furthermore, Shanique was out there on that limb by herself. Everyone was blown. They dipped back. And because it was a one-on-one situation, there was no need for 4 other grown women, 3 or 4, however many, my math off today, for them to jump in to your aid. There was a table in between y'all. She said her piece and you should have said yours. But the gag is, deep down inside, I feel as if Asha is slightly unsure about that tea. That there may be some remnants of truth with that tea. And that Asha and her husband have had some previous issues with that tea or some other flavored tea. And that's why that thing hit her so hard. And see, her gut reaction was to run and call her husband. And I feel like in that moment, she was expecting her husband to give her something. You know, hell nah, fuck nah, she lying. The husband gave you some very vague just, oh man, baby, that's messed up. She's tripping. Even down to when you and the husband was down in that hot tub discussing that thing, he didn't really give you nothing definitive. Now here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Let's all just keep it real. I don't know if Shanique was implying the infidelity transpired when they were married or shortly before they got married. But the reality of the situation is we're all human. And if he was in that deep of a relationship with this previous woman, that they were engaged, and then he started a new relationship with you, dating from a dating perspective, it is not far-fetched that there was a little ping pong in there and a little, okay, am I sure I want to move on? I'm kind of talking to them both at the same time. Not condoning it, not saying it's right, but we're all human and we know those types of things happen. If the implication is that it happened prior to y'all getting married, girl, let that shit go and move the fuck on. Because it about did. But Asha, is something in my spirit that says something in your spirit believe what Shanique said. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Shanique, you was dead ass wrong. I have to ask in this situation, what did you seek to accomplish by doing that? I don't think that anything that transpired at that party warranted you throwing a dart at Asha that severe. You know, there was a mix-up. There was some hurt feelings regarding the ex being invited. But it's almost as if you took pleasure and made it a point, I'm going to let this bitch know that her man was cheating on her. And then when everybody came back to the table and Asha returned, and from an energy and body language perspective, you realized that you was kind of wrong for what you said. Then you wanted to backpedal and pussy pop and say, oh, well, we're having a lay it on the line party and my intention was not to hurt you or to imply infidelity. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Because if that was not your intention, then you would not have said that and you would have stuck to the issue at hand, which was the mix-up over the invite, not rather her man was cheating on her or overlap between. That had nothing to do with nothing. And I like the fact that your husband, in more ways than one, corrected you on that. You know, I think your husband learned a valuable lesson in this situation and looking back at it, because he's now, after watching this, Asha's husband, and forgive me, I don't have his name down just yet, Asha's husband is now looking at this dude like, bro, like, what was that all about? Rather, what you told your wife was true or false, there's bro code. You know how this reality TV shit go. That's something you knew in confidence. We supposed to have our black man brotherhood caucus over here. And not to mention, gossip and tea go both ways. I'm pretty sure that if Shanique's husband knows this information about Asha's husband, ain't no telling what Asha's husband may know about Shanique's husband, and he would not want him to pillow talk and create a whole nother situation. Like, yeah. So, you know, Shanique's husband did look as if he felt regretful for telling Shanique this, and she used the information. Because he told her straight up, I told you this in confidence with the camera rolling. I don't know how much confidence that is. People kill me with this. I told you a secret while 10 million people are watching. nevertheless, we're not going to break the fourth wall. We're going to pretend like no camera wasn't there and they were just talking in their house. And I didn't give you this as a weapon. But yeah, that was that. Britten and Shanique go looking for a house. Matt and Brittany, y'all gonna have to really come to some sort of compromise. Now, I get Matt. I look at y'all palatial estate that y'all have in Orlando, and while I support everything that Britten is doing and being progressive in terms of like, I'm the woman, but he's their dad. Why do I gotta stay with the kids and I'm moving for a job? You know, Britten, you're gonna have to fuck Matt slow and use some more Vaseline when it comes to basically paying more money and getting far less for what you get in Orlando. And yes, Matt is gonna have to come up off it. But looking at the rental home that you are in now with that small backyard and that pool, I mean, baby, I'm from Miami, and when Heavenly and them was at your house, baby, I was feeling cramped through the TV, quiet as it's kept. Now, the home is nice, but that is a huge cultural adjustment coming from what y'all are used to living in LA. I do think, however, the onus lies on Matt to be slightly more compromising when it comes to the house, because the reality of the situation is you move to LA to live in LA. Nobody moves to LA to live 50 miles outside the city, and I do think because they are moving there for her career and that he is more flexible with his job, it looks as if he possibly can work from home and do business deals from anywhere, that Matt, just bend a little more. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's on some 3 to 5 year shit, and then after y'all get settled and situated, you know, or y'all might need to explore the possibility if Britten is able to work 3 days out the week and have 5 days off, then maybe y'all need to explore the possibility of having the main home and Britten getting an apartment in LA closer to her job. I don't see why that would be far-fetched, considering the fact that y'all are okay with you being in Orlando and she being in LA. I mean, maybe that is the answer, that y'all get the home that you want and not 50 miles outside the city, maybe 25 to 30, and then she get a small condo or rental apartment inside the city. I think that's a fair compromise if y'all are unable to come to an agreement on the home, and then Britten set up her schedule where she work 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, whatever off, or whatever the case may be. A greater social point that I want to bring up. Noelle's daughter called home from school sick, and the issue was that she was crying because none of the kids at that school look like her. Now, I told y'all this in prior videos, and y'all already know where I'm about to go with this. I am not a fan of black people sending their black children into all white spaces under the guise of getting a better education. You have got to prioritize what is going to make your child a more well-rounded and overall healthy individual in the long run. And I'm sorry, what good is having a Harvard degree and a Yale law degree when you are fucked up in the mind, you are insecure, you don't know where you fit in the world? None of that is going to get you anywhere. Here is one thing that we do know for a fact. Confident people, people of high esteem, people who know who they are, people who are fortified in their culture, those are key ingredients to success. The educational piece and the quality education, the quality of the education, that is a factor, but not necessary. High esteem, confidence, self-worth, self-love, self-value are all necessary ingredients to success. And this whole thing about giving them the better education, my question is, in the grand scheme of life, is the quality of the education so much greater that it is going to make an overall difference when it comes to life and how life is going to turn out for them. Let's just be real. There are many people out there from underprivileged backgrounds, inner city backgrounds, who went to state colleges and universities and who have turned out much better than these rich, entitled kids who grew up on Park Avenue. You know what I'm saying? There is just a slew of factors that leads to success. And I'm not convinced that this high-level education that your child is going to get, especially in a middle school and high school environment, is going to be the one determining factor in them being successful. Look at all of you on the show, the backgrounds that you've come from and the odds that you've overcome, and your child's not even plagued with 1/5 of the issues that you had. So I'm sorry. You know, sending them to this top-notch private school, but fucking up their self-esteem and having them be having to question their self-worth and what they look like. I'm not a fan of that, and I just beg all parents. You know, I ask when people send their kids to these private schools, and they take so much pride and joy. My child goes to this. Is it really for the child, or is it for you? Is it for you to have bragging rights, and is it for you to be able to say, I'm an accomplished Negro because I don't have to send my child to the public school and I can send them here. We moving on up to the east side of the sky. You just have to ask yourself what is most important and where lies the balance. But I will say this. Just like adults spend more time at work than they do at home with their families, children spend more time at school than they do at home with their families. That being said, wherever you spend the majority of your time is probably where you're going to get majority of the influence. And if your daughter or son is in an environment majority of the day where who they are as an individual is downplayed, not acknowledged, or not recognized, you've got to take some consideration as to what that's going to do to their psyche. And for that, I'm not a fan of it. Jazmin and Shanique meet. So as much as I'm trying to like Jazmin, and I don't dislike her at this point, I'm not featuring her. Jazmin is the living embodiment of why I won't move to LA. Like, before I moved back to Miami, everybody was like, you know, your career is moving. The next step for you is LA or New York. And much like Britten, if I was to move to LA, because I'm in entertainment, I would want to live in LA proper. And I would have to walk in those LA proper entertainment circles. And many of them tend to be plastic like Jazmin. And I'm not saying it from a condemnation perspective, and I'm not trying to shade her. She can't help who she is and she can't help her environment. I can't get down with that LA shit. The fact that Jazmin came to that table and her biggest... First of all, let me just be real and stop trying to be politically correct. Bitch, how the fuck you rich? You got one child, you don't work, and you talking about you stressed out and you feel like you put too much on the nanny. If you feel like you put too much on the nanny, you probably do put too much on the nanny. And I am sorry, like, why even have children if you're not interested in raising them and being hands-on? Jazmin's only complaint was about gaining a pound of weight. And she was absolutely for real about it. And I'm not trying to knock those people in life who get what they get by way of their looks. Because God gives us all what we need to survive. Maybe he didn't give her a brain. Maybe he didn't give her a work ethic. He takes care of babies and fools. And he made sure that she had whatever it is she needed to get where she's at. And I'm not knocking her for that. We all got our role that we play in life. And that's why working out twice a day is a priority for her, because she has to maintain that look in order to maintain that life. I get it. For her, it is survival, the same way me and you go to work for 8 hours. Well, I don't go to work for 8 hours no more, but you get what I'm trying to say. I just couldn't be friends with somebody who's that out of touch that they come to the table and they want to talk to me. Somebody who has 2 or 3 kids, who gets them ready, takes them to school, work, cook, fuck my husband and everything in between. And she talking about she's stressed out with 1. And she got a nanny. Like, do you not hear yourself? And you strike me as someone who does not come from a place with a silver spoon in their mouth. So are you putting on? Is that an act? Is that a role you're playing? Or are you really that oblivious / dumb and out of touch? But that right there, it's not that I dislike Jazmin. I can't relate whatsoever. I just can't relate, because money and the ability to not work is supposed to free up your time to raise and love on your kids even harder, even better, and for you to homeschool them, this, that, and the third, and you're essentially stressed out doing nothing. Like, you are managing the nanny taking care of the child. Like, bitch, if you complaining about managing the nanny, then you just need to, like, not have no more kids and possibly let the nanny have this one or give it to your grandma or something the case may be. But I couldn't get down with that. Britten goes on a job interview. Y'all, there was something about Britten walking through that door at that all-female clinic. That beat medical fish came in, interviewed her. I loved everything about the interview. I loved how humbling it was on a reality TV show that's supposed to feature glamour and richness, that this person had to be humbled, or we showed this person doing the shit that me and you do, walking in there with their business professional clothes on with a damn resume, asking for a damn job. Because unlike all the rest of these fake ass reality TV people, she ain't got all these imaginary businesses and ventures. And mama says she got to work. Work ain't what? It ain't honest, but it pays the bills. Yes, God, honey. Mama husband told her they got a $2 million budget and she need to contribute. Where the bag at? Britten, where the bag at? Max said, run me that check, bitch. Bitch, my credit only gonna get the first $1 million. Yours gonna get the second. What you got on it? Yes, God. Partnership. Ain't no sit around, fool la la, and not get no job around here. Nah, B. That ain't what we doing. You ain't Jazmin. You ain't got 4 Bentleys. Yes, God. But I did love the fact that we see Britten out there, you know, going through some real shit. I'm unemployed. I'm freelancing. I'm moving. Now she unemployed like this and not like this. Real classy with it, because she make unemployed look very good. She make consulting on the side look very good. You know what I'm saying? But I loved it. And I love that we got to get some background into her life in the military and what she had to do. And it's funny because that doctor was like, ooh, she a doctor for real, bitch. Like, she was out there dealing with the people got their eyes and their ass blowed up on the front line. And I like how that doctor asked her, now how are you going to deal with the Beverly Hills patient? Because that is a hell of a lot different than a bitch that got their limbs blown off. And I love everything about it. Last but not least, Imani's mom is officially my favorite character on Madison Girls LA. She's my favorite. I love her. That woman is no nonsense. She called Imani on her bullshit, and she was much like me. Her mom was sick and over even hearing the story, because it just sounded like a bunch of juvenile mess. And here's the thing. What I did not like about Imani, we can't pick and choose when we want to be mature. It didn't take your mother to explain to you why that girl was offended about what you said. You were stuck in your ego. You wanted to get away with saying that offensive ass shit and expected that girl to accept it. And now you feel away because she's mad. And rightfully so, she should be. Now here's the thing, right? They call it hating. They call it being nosy. I call it being human. Please don't act like you don't have a friend and you have not wondered how a person has afforded something. It is a basic human instinct. It is a basic social instinct. Like, bitch, you are an assistant manager at Marshall's and you got on a Chanel bag and you got on red bottoms and you got on a Gucci dress, and I am a lawyer and I don't even have a Chanel bag. So yes, how are you affording this? Now, is it rude and a social faux pas to ask and to address that out loud? Perhaps. But it ain't far-fetched for a person to look around and be like, how is a bitch affording this? Especially when they are not armed with all the information. Now, is it anybody's business where your income is? No. But if we are a friend group, it's reasonable for me to know what my friend does for a living. And it is also reasonable for me to know in what range my friends earn. I know all my friends. I don't know exactly what their paychecks say at the end of the damn week or what their taxes say at the end of the damn year. But I know what range each and every one of my friends falls within based on our friendship, based on how we brunch, based on where they shop, where they live, and what they drive. If me and a fellow friend do the same thing for a living and I'm living like this and they living way up here, I mean, it's going to send off your spidey senses and some red flags. I just wish that Imani would have been, she would have explored the possibility of how and why from a more positive place than a negative. Just as quickly as her husband could have been a drug dealer, equally as quickly he could have also been an investor in the tech community. He could have had an inheritance. He could have hit the lottery. Just, you know, and so I think that the issue for Jazmin and kind of me watching this is that you instantly went left when you could have easily have gone right. And when Jazmin posed the question, because he's black, is that why you chose that? If my husband was white, would you have thought that? You know, as much as we want to write Jazmin off as an airhead and dingy sometimes, she does have a point. That question did have some validity. And while Imani got all upset, I'm sitting here wondering too, if he was white, would she have thought that? And I'm willing to say no. And the reason being is that we have gotten comfortable and come to expect white people to have wealth. It's not so much common for us in terms of our images, in terms of black people. So I get it. I just wish Imani would have practiced a little more discipline and discernment with her mouth. But I loved it and I loved it all. Y'all, that's the Medicine Wives, the Medicine Growers LA. We done got through it. Now I get to watch Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. Give y'all this one last video before we do the live show. Be sure, if you're new to my channel, to like and subscribe, honey. And I'll call y'all girls later. Bye.